This is 4.6, day 1, part 2. We've just graphed the parent function for the cosecant and the secant. We have one example left. We're going to graph this function. Y equals 2 secant of x plus pi over 2 minus 4. So before we go and graph that secant function, we want to graph its inverse function. What would be the inverse function of this? What would be the inverse function? Cosine. So what I do is I just rewrite right below it 2 cosine of x plus pi over 2 minus 4. And then I focus on that blue function, identify all the pieces, all the changes from its parent, and then at the very end, I do the vertical asymptotes and then the flips, those parabolas. So let's identify the pieces. What is the amplitude? 2. That's my A value. What's my B value? What's the value of B in that equation? 1. So that helps me to find my period. 2 pi over 1, which is 2 pi. All right. Let's go to the end of the equation, minus 4. What does minus 4 tell me? Down 4. So this tells me to go down 4. What does this tell me?
Horizontal translation.
Yep, there's a horizontal translation. So this is where I go below this and identify the left and the right endpoints. So I take that parentheses and I set it equal to 0 and then 2 pi. So left endpoint, we take that parentheses, x plus pi over 2 and set it equal to 0. Then I do the right endpoint, x plus pi over 2, and I set it equal to 2 pi. And then I solve each of those equations for x, and that will be my starting and my stopping points. All right. So to solve the left endpoint, what do I do? Subtract pi over 2. So I'm starting at negative pi over 2. Then subtract pi over 2 again. But now I have unlike denominators. So I need to make them alike. What will my denominators both need to be? 2. So I increase the 2 pi to 4 pi over 2. So 4 pi over 2 minus pi over 2 is 3 pi over 2. So that's where my revolution will stop. So I'm going to start at negative pi over 2. Stop at 3 pi over 2. What's the halfway point between negative pi over 2 and 3 pi over 2? This is actually just a shift change to the left pi over 2. So if I split it in half, negative pi over 2 plus 3 pi over 2 is 2 pi over 2 divided by 2, you get pi over 2. Halfway between negative pi over 2 and pi over 2? 0. And halfway between pi over 2 and 3 pi over 2? Pi. All right. Then I have the shifting down 4 units. So I want to draw that imaginary horizontal axis. So negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4. At negative 4, we construct our horizontal axis. Then the amplitude was 2. So we're going to go 2 up and 2 down. So my graph is going to exist between negative 2 and negative 6. the curve. All right. Now let's go ahead and graph our function. So our function was cosine, so we'll do that in blue. There was no reflection, so it's going to start at the top. So here's the start of the amplitude at the top. It goes to the middle, to the bottom, to the middle, and to the top. All right. Then you can continue another revolution if you want. To save some time, we'll just go ahead and construct our vertical asymptotes at. Where will our vertical asymptotes be at? What x values? 0, yep. 0 and pi. So I'm going to have a vertical asymptote right here at x equals 0. You want to label those on your graph. And the other one right here at pi. And now we create our parabola. So there would be the top of my hill, go the opposite way. This would be the top of my hill, go the opposite way. And I'll kind of just push the slide down. The bottom of that hill, go the opposite way between the asymptotes. Now I have my secant function. All right, that is our lesson for today. Here is your assignment. 11 through 17 on, 21 and 27, and then 4 additional questions.